Okay, let's dive right into this. You know, you've worked for decades, you've sacrificed, and you've consistently saved. But what if a single, really common mistake with your retirement account could completely undo a massive chunk of that hard work right when you're getting ready to finally enjoy it? Today, in this explainer, we are unpacking Dave Ramsey's urgent warning about a retirement move that could save you from serious financial heartache or cost you dearly if you happen to get it wrong. We're talking about a mistake that could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in completely unnecessary taxes, specifically up to $750,000. I mean, that is a staggering number, right? So we're going to break down the absolutely critical tax-saving moves you need to be thinking about well before you hit age 65.
Here's our roadmap for the explainer today. We'll cover the six-figure mistake, compare traditional versus Roth math, explore the Dribble method, highlight when not to convert, objectively review the critic's blind spots, and finish up with a clear three-step action plan.
All right, part one, the six-figure retirement mistake.
So there's a huge fundamental difference in how these two types of accounts are treated by the IRS. Now, most of us have our money in a traditional 401k or IRA. And with those, you got a nice tax deduction when you put the money in. That feels like a real win today, right? But the massive catch is that you are going to pay ordinary income taxes on every single dollar you take out in retirement, and that includes all the growth. In a Roth account, the whole thing is flipped. You pay the tax today, but all future withdrawals are entirely 100% tax-free.
Moving right along to part two, traditional versus Roth mess.
Let's actually picture this. Imagine a 40-year-old who consistently saves $24,000 a year for 25 years. That equates to $600,000 of their own money contributed. But thanks to the magic of compound growth, assuming, say, an 8% annual return, this account balloons to a whopping $3.1 million by age 65. That is $2.5 million just in growth. Now, if this is a traditional account, you're paying ordinary income tax on that entire $3.1 million when you withdraw it. But in a Roth account, you only pay taxes on the $600,000 going in. That massive $2.5 million chunk of growth comes out completely tax-free.
And you know, this really brings us to a foundational piece of advice from Dave Ramsey. Pay tax on the seed, not the harvest. When you step back and look at the math, it makes perfect sense. Paying taxes on the $600,000 going in, the seed, is mathematically vastly superior to paying ordinary income tax on a $3.1 million harvest coming out.
Okay, part three, the Dribble method strategy.
So, what if you're sitting there with a massive traditional IRA right now? How do you fix it? Well, Ramsey advises converting it to a Roth, but you absolutely cannot do it all at once. If you convert that lump sum in a single year, all that money is piled on top of your current earnings, which will skyrocket your tax bracket. You could face a federal tax bill of up to $500,000 in a single year. But if you dribble it out, say converting $150,000 a year for 10 years, you stay in a much lower, way more manageable tax bracket. Your total tax over that decade drops to around $300,000. Just by pacing yourself, you're looking at a savings of roughly $175,000. It's brilliant.
Now, part four, when not to convert.
This is a hard stop. Literally. Do not execute a Roth conversion if you are within 5 years of retirement. It's incredibly important to understand this. Paying the tax today is only worth it if that money has enough time to compound tax-free. You need that compounding growth to offset the initial tax hit you're taking right now.
There are basically two massive traps to watch out for here. First is the 5-year rule. You actually have to wait 5 years from your very first Roth contribution before you can withdraw the earnings completely tax-free and penalty-free. So if you're 63 and you convert today, you really can't touch those earnings until you're 68 without running into issues. Second, you have to avoid conversions that push you into a higher tax bracket. The entire goal here is to lower your overall tax burden, right? Not increase it. Generally, the ideal time to do this is in your 50s or early 60s when your income might be a bit lower, and definitely before you start drawing Social Security.
All right, Section 5, critics and blind spots. We need to objectively look at the full picture here. So Ramsey often suggests that you can safely withdraw 8% from your retirement portfolio every year. However, critics point out a pretty significant blind spot here. This figure largely ignores taxes.
If you withdraw $80,000 from a traditional 401k, well, that's treated as ordinary income. And that income can actually trigger taxes on up to 85% of your Social Security benefits. So after the IRS comes in and takes its cut, that 8% net withdrawal might actually feel a whole lot more like 6% or even less.
Then there's this really sneaky trap called IMRAA, or the Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. If you take a large lump sum withdrawal from a traditional account, your income for that specific year spikes. This high income can actually trigger a substantial surcharge on your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums. And the really tricky part about this? That surcharge usually hits you 2 full years after the withdrawal, which catches a lot of retirees completely off guard.
There's also some pushback from the financial community on how the 5-year rule is applied. Many financial planners argue that the rule is primarily designed to prevent people under the age of 59.5 from bypassing early withdrawal penalties. So if you're already older than 59.5, the rule might not actually apply to you in the strict way Ramsey suggests. But it is worth noting that Ramsey takes this conservative stance simply to play it safe, wanting to keep his listeners as far away from any potential IRS penalties as possible.
Finally, Part 6, your 3-step action plan.
So the crucial point is, how do we actually apply all this? Well, step 1, if you are under 55 and have a traditional account, start exploring those Roth conversions. Sit down, do the math, and see exactly how much you can dribble out while still staying in a reasonable tax bracket. Step 2, if you're 60 or older, you should probably hit pause. You might just be too close to retirement for a conversion to make mathematical sense anymore. Instead, focus heavily on building a rock-solid retirement budget that accounts for healthcare and taxes. And step 3, no matter your age, prioritize maxing out your Roth IRA. Interestingly enough, this is one of the few things financial planners across the spectrum universally agree on. Roth accounts are the gold standard. Oh, and the most foundational rule to remember, do not go into retirement with debt. No mortgage, no car payments, no credit cards. 0.
Which really brings us to our final thought today. As you look at your own retirement accounts right now, I want you to ask yourself this: will you pay taxes on the seed or the harvest? The way you answer that question today could determine whether you keep hundreds of thousands of dollars in your own pocket or just hand it straight over to the IRS. Run the numbers, pace yourself with the Dribble method, and take control of your financial future. Thanks for watching this explainer. I really hope it gave you some powerful tools for your retirement journey. We'll see you next time.